Hello, whoever's listening. I am Quarantine Stranger, and you can't see my players because we're all having login issues, but, eventually it'll happen. It will happen. In fact, I'm even going to restart based on what I'm seeing. But yeah, so last time the party landed I don't have a map, so they landed in the part of the world that they're trying to get to on the floodplain of the eastern continent of Gavila, and made their way to a small cottage where they met with, first of all, a blackjack dragonborn by the name of Legetis Austrian, as well as Tuli, who was known to a few of the party. Kane was, of course, wearing his most excellent clothes.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah. It's important. So essentially what they learned was that Legetes was a member of a group creatively known as the Assholes, who were essentially sort of underground / black market in a troubled world ruled by the Ashal. Meanwhile, Tuli told the story of how basically Tirsa just kind of abruptly said, all right, we getting out of here. Gathered up as much of the Ettersfang as she reasonably could, and just got out. And they hadn't met up with most of the people, but they had sort of found the assholes, and used them as a base to build off of. So also, it was made known that Tirsa had brought a baby along with them. Baby turns out to have been, at least in general terms, known to Kane. So that was the thing that happened, and Kane is currently quite inebriated as a result of that.
I can still make my dex checks.
That is true. Reliable talent, don't you know? Although, if you were to get too much more drunk, I'd probably take that away from you. Well, you might just be unconscious at a certain point. Anyways, let me see here. Oh, also quite a bit of shopping was done. I don't know if you all saw it in chat, but showing only the worst of taste, Dom did buy a sword of dragon slaying. So, technically a great sword. So yeah, that's the thing. Anyways, after all that was sewn up, the group had lunch. They got dinner for the road, and Tuli showed them to a tunnel that ran underground all the way into Ball here, which is where they were trying to go. So the tunnel led out into a stone cellar, and we sort of pick up here. And in the room around you, you see a number of barrels, a wall covered in a variety of tools. No one comes to greet you, but you do hear a pair of muffled voices from above. Looking across the room, you see a set of wooden stairs leading out of the room. And I also mentioned, I believe it was Quiz who had some detect magic site going. And you did notice that among the tools hanging on the wall was a hammer that appeared to have some sort of transmutation magic on it.
Then someone told Kane to steal something, if I recall correctly.
Oh, yeah. The very last thing that happened was Quiz told you to steal the hammer.
Yes, Kane's stealing the hammer now.
Nobody's stopping you.
I'm
Is
gonna
that
speak up.
what we've come to?
Kane's drunk and someone told him to steal a thing. How often does the group command Kane to steal stuff? He's not missing his opportunity.
That's okay. Yeah, Kane is drunk, and you all just and Quiz just sanctioned this. I think that's entirely within his character.
Yep. Seems
okay.
right to me.
All right, let me see here. How much does a...
Hey, look, World 20 loaded.
You know what? Just averaging. I'm gonna call it add a 1 pound magic hammer to your inventory, Kane.
Oh, I didn't have to roll for it? Cool.
Yeah, no. It's just it's hanging on the wall, and you just took it.
Magic hammer. Did anyone notice we take it?
I mean, I didn't hear that you were trying to hide, so I imagine
I
everyone
did.
saw
I
you
said
take
I'm
it off the
sneaking
wall.
up and swiping it.
Okay. Uh, I mean, yeah, but are you attempting to hide that at all?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I guess roll sleight of hand. But quiz, seeing how you specifically told him to steal it, I imagine you're watching. You're going to see it disappear from the wall. So you
I'm not
totally
trying to
know that he
hide
took
from
it.
them, just from the whoever else is here.
Nobody
I
else
want to
is
see who the
there.
other.
It's only you guys.
I thought there were two people across the. I'm confused. I'm
You,
sorry.
you you heard their voices. You don't see them.
Oh,
So like
well then
you're in a little cellar. There's
I
like a
now
set
see
of
why you're.
stairs leading up.
I understand.
Yeah, I was just like, why do you have to roll to like take something off the wall? I don't get it.
Great start already. All right.
I mean, I guess you rolled a 33, so you do it super sneaky. Not that it
If
matters.
anybody was there, they wouldn't. Yeah, kiting.
All right.
I want to know. All right. And then I'm gonna go up to the. I'm gonna sneak up and scout ahead, see who the voices are.
Okay.
I'll be sneaky.
So you're trying to like quietly open like the door, I guess.
Yeah. I just turn over and say, "Shh." I'll
Okay.
scout ahead.
I mean, I guess roll
Okay.
stealth.
All right. And I'm gonna
Uh,
stealthily stumble. I'm trying to picture like drunken stealth, but I clicked the roll button. There it is. I think. There it is.
okay, so that's a 25.
Yeah.
Um, okay.
I didn't- I
Um,
rolled a 9. It's a 24. I love rogues.
so
I love
yeah,
expertise.
you just slightly, just barely enough to be able to see. You quietly slide the door open and look out into the room. You see and this is now the image roughly corresponds with what you're looking at. So imagine yourself sort of at the back. And when I say roughly corresponds, like the furniture isn't all laid out, all these objects aren't here, but like this is the mood that I'm going for. Um, there's a large stone room, strewn haphazardly with a variety of objects. Though in the center is a bit of a clearing with a table and a jumble of chairs. You
Detect
see,
magic.
uh, okay. Let me think here. Actually, um, most of the objects in the room are mundane, although on the persons of the two figures, especially one of them whom you recognize, there are a variety of magic objects. Um,
Oh,
and
is it Tirsa?
and within the range of your vision. Oh, and actually, you would also sense, once again, because this seems to be the trend, um, illusion magic sort of coating the entire building. Actually, I forgot. Quiz, you would have noticed that as well. Just
Okay.
illusion magic, all these buildings right now. So yeah, so Kane at the table, you see these two figures with sort of a. You're kind of far away, but it looks like a map of some sort stretched out between them. The first, who's standing actually on a chair and has his back, or not, no, like standing in front of a chair and has his back to you, um, is a gnome. He is dressed in, or at least actually you're not sure of the gender, only seeing the back, but it appears to be a trim suit of blue silk. Um, He's leaning over the table, pointing at something. The second is a woman, thin-faced, raven-haired, blue-eyed, middle-aged, but an attractive middle-age, dressed in a smart set of black leathers. Um, as you look out the door, she smiles and gives you a small wave because she rolled a good
Is it?
perception check.
Is it what? She beat my stealth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What can happen? That wasn't allowed. Is it Tirsa?
Yeah, it's Tirsa.
I just like rushed through the door. Hey, Tirsa, what's up?
Hello, Kane. Do you? And then she, as she sees you, or actually, you know what? Give me acrobatics.
Woo! It's coming.
Oh,
There.
wait, your min is a 20. Okay, all right. Well, suffice to say, there's nothing in your bearing that would suggest you're, like, what? Probably kind of starting to feel sick at this point. Anyways, you're still holding yourself well. But although you do sense, well, actually, no. This far in, you would kind of be in that lull where you're coming off being drunk and you're not hungover yet. So, like right now, you probably feel okay, actually.
Hey, I feel like Kane wouldn't get hungover.
Oh, after like what? 2 bottles of wine, you're gonna be hungover. I'm sorry.
I've never had a hangover, and I've drunk lots of shots at once before.
2 bottles
So
of
I feel
wine
like
is a lot,
Kane
dude.
is equally.
And you're not that heavy. Anywho.
Kane is small.
So let me think here. Right. So
The whole gang.
so
Well, not the whole gang. It's just Fallon and Colleen, and we found a hobbit halfling.
she you see her eyes kind of narrow for a moment, and then she shrugs and says, "Well, bring everybody up. It's just me and Glimmer."
Hey guys, it's just Teresa and another small person. Her name's Glimmer.
Glimmer turns around, and you realize that he is in fact male. Um, handsome faced for a gnome, appears early middle aged. Again, for a gnome, like so he's
For a gnome, he looks handsome for a gnome.
so he's maybe 100. Um, he does have prematurely graying hair that falls to about his shoulder. So is everybody else piling up, I presume?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, you all pile in.
Discord. Roll 20.
You do Colleen. So as Colleen comes up with, I presume, a trail of undead behind her.
Oh yeah, and Colleen's entourage.
Yeah, everyone give me insight.
Hey, I rolled well. Also, for you guys, are your boxes like invisible around your rolls?
I think it's just lag.
Okay. 'Cause I just see numbers and a line, and then the name, but nothing else.
Casey, do you see a roll from me?
No.
Nope.
Okay. I wanted to make sure before I tried to click.
Yeah, Kane, you could also try just closing your character sheet and
There we
reopening.
go. If there's 2 of them, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, wait, I forgot. Colleen doesn't roll insight. So Quiz and Kane. So like yeah, the reactions you get are pretty transparent. So Glimmer, as he sees Kane come up, you see him like visibly tense up and look over to Tirsa. You know these people? And Tirsa, who normally is quite guarded and hard to read, you do actually see her flinch as Colleen comes into view. She does recover and then says, yes, well, and then as first Quiz and later Dom pile out. She says, "Well, I recognize most of them."
Do I recognize Tirsa?
I don't think you would. I don't think you've ever met her
Wait, I
before.
thought he saw
I
Tirsa.
Oh, yeah. Simply based on that, yes. Now, you had kind of a low-res image before, but now you see her as I described, and you would know enough to recognize her.
Okay.
So, right. So Tirsa says, yes, I recognize most of them. Colleen, if you don't mind my asking, is everything she sort of says, you look different than the last time I saw you. Is everything all right?
Oh god, the tentacles.
Oh yes, everything's fine. Totally fine. This is normal, I guess. Now?
She
Yeah.
nods
It's kinda-
slowly and she turns to Glimmer and says, they were always a bit of an interesting group. Apparently there's an explanation. Glimmer nods and gathers himself, and he says, all right then. Well, then, welcome. My name is Sogan, although, as you've heard, most folks around here call me Glimmer. So there's his actual first name.
Hey, Glimmer. You seem magically inclined.
Yes, and then Tirsa fills in Kane. Kane?
Yes.
Why do you ask?
If you were to take someone's dragon, where would you put it?
He looks up at
Your
Tirsa.
professional opinion.
Tirsa sighs and says, perhaps we should go over the... Well, and then she catches herself and looks around at the rest of you. Is now the time for this question? Hearing nothing, Glimmer then speaks back up. Somewhere that it can't attack me?
It's not very helpful, Glimmer. I
He
don't know how I'd rate your magic. That was kind of hint she gave.
he stops and says, I'm sorry, I should have been more clear. I am not exactly a wizard.
So you lied to me, Glimmer.
I said nothing. You simply assumed when I
asked
recognized
you,
your
you said
question.
yes.
He sighs. He looks generally at the rest of you and says, is he always like this?
Yes.
Hey, I've had a bit to drink. Sorry.
He
Why does
nods
everyone
and
ask that?
says, please, you're all standing by the door. Come in and make yourselves comfortable. He looks at you, Colleen. Do you need a place for safekeeping for your friends, I presume?
If you'd prefer them be elsewhere, I can post them wherever you like.
He shrugs and says, it's fine. Everyone who comes through here is a bit eccentric after all. Just merely looking to tend to your needs. Speaking of which, he gestures around. There's, again, sort of just a random assortment of furniture. Like, think, it kind of looks like somebody raided like a mildly high-end thrift store. Like, the stuff is nice, but nothing matches. And it's all just kind of placed in random locations. He says, please make yourselves as comfortable as you can. Would anyone like an ale?
Me.
He looks in, just nods.
Kane will take a couch. A whole couch.
He disappears. Anyone who wants one, he brings back just a single mug of ale. And then Tirsa says, as you're sort of all settling down, Tirsa says, well, I know something of your journey. I hope the last part of it went more smoothly than some of the news that I heard. Although I have to admit, I was getting everything third hand through Tuli, so, well, I only know so much.
I filled Tirsa in on everything, but in typical Kane fashion, while still a little drunk.
All right.
So it's just kind of like, and then he just kind of poofed and it was gone. And then Quiz started carrying around a dead baby, and things got really awkward.
So,
It's that kind of level of stuff. I just kind of
right.
There's no segues. I just jump from point to point.
Yeah. So as you wrap up, she says, well, I think I've learned a few things from that. She thinks for a moment and then finally says, well, at any rate, thank you all for coming. I imagine some explanation on my part might be in order as to why I had Tuli suggest you all come here. She looks around. Shall I just get right to it?
Please.
She nods. She looks at Fallon, Colleen, Kane. And by the way, I'm assuming based on Kane's story that, she's got a base level description of what's going on. Like, includes a basic concept of like who Dom is, who Quiz is, stuff like that.
It's probably like 60% like there.
Yeah, but I mean, like, good enough that I'm going to assume she knows certain things that she might otherwise.
But there's gonna be some key
not otherwise know.
misunderstandings on things for comical effect.
All right, I'll bear that in mind.
I feel like if I were a sitcom writer, this would be the perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
Like the way I describe them, it's just a little off. But not on purpose. I'm just drunk.
Yeah, in fairness, she's probably used to dealing with that. Okay. So she says, Fallon, Colleen, Kane, do you remember when we first met in Rampart? Months ago. There was an old elf there by the name of Antiniel Venosari who set you out on this journey. She was a priestess of Innis. She knew more about you than she should, and she gave you some degree of compelling reason to set you out on the journey, or at least I assume she did, since she did something similar to me, for me. And thinking back, since it hasn't been that long in-game, so this is like way back session 2, when you all first met up, there was indeed this elven priestess there who seemed to like kind of know things about you, and she was the one who suggested that you take that first trip underground.
Her name was Nasty.
Hey, Radiclus!
It was Nistia, actually. Sorry, but...
Oh, no, this is Antiniel.
Adventure.
Oh, different.
Yeah, this is different. You only met her in the one session. And it was like 3.5 years ago, so...
So I'm forgiven.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, Radiclus, do you need me to catch you up on where we're at?
Sure. I've been listening for a little bit. I can't get Roll20 to actually work.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of spotty tonight. Like, when I restarted, I had to wait a really long time. So, luckily, the video isn't critical right this moment. So hopefully we get it figured out. But yeah, so basically all that happened is Kane swiped a magic hammer. You all left the basement. And Tirsa is up there along with this Glimmer character who was mentioned last time. His actual first name is Sogan. He appears to be one of the assholes. And Tirsa was just, launching into the story. All right. So she looks back at you. So Fallon, I sent you off to save a few of my girls, remember? And Kane, Mira sent you to Rampart to investigate some strange goings-on that were interfering with business. Those were things I needed done in any case, but didn't have to be the two of you. But Antinio said it had to be you. As for
Wait,
me,
was this where I met Johan?
it was.
Of course I remember that. That's where I met Rope Buddy, and we first discovered our love of rope.
I'm going to ignore that. For now.
Acceptable.
Anyways, as for me, she gave me a choice. She clued me into the existence of the vestiges of Alkadir, and said they would soon be needed, along with some other items. She said that I could seek them for myself, or that I could help guide you to them. She seemed not to know where they were herself, but of course the Adder's Fang has resources for such things. Well, had resources.
What happened to the Adder's Fang?
The remnants of us are scattered around
Oh,
Gavala.
right. Yes. Got that.
No worries. Suffice to say, honestly, I applied just storybook reasoning. I figured that seeking the vestiges for myself would be somewhat ruinous, and true, I did offer that you might give them to me, and yes, I did borrow the scepter once. With it
What did you
help.
borrow it for, anyway?
I helped save Tindos from being overrun. At any rate, in the end, all I could find was the scepter. I didn't realize the trick of the cape. The chalice slipped out of the hands of the Dwarven Patriarch and off the continent before we were able to track it down, but still I tried to support your group when I could, and to maintain control over my other affairs. Suffice to say, this is where I am now. Frankly, part of me is inclined to be a bit angry, because I can only imagine that something was wildly bungled for things to take the turn they did. Part of me wishes I'd tried to control things, but she leans back and sighs. Here we are. We're alive. We've made new friends. She gestures towards Sogan and then towards Quiz and Indomitable. The situation continues to change, but perhaps we can help each other once more. And with that, I would say I'm fairly on the level with, well, what's been going on up to this point.
How does she look when she looks at Dom?
Dom in particular, insight. Let me check something.
Yes. Something unavoidable happened to cause all this. Super unavoidable, guys.
For all that you can tell, she is like displaying kind of what you would expect. Just like she doesn't know a lot about Dom, but he's with your group. You all seem to be together. She might have heard a couple things through Kane. So she's being non-committal with what she says. Mind you, again, you do get the initial read off of her that she's very much sort of in control of herself and what she presents to people.
Okay.
So then she says, and that's that. So the next thing, I guess, is that if you'll hear me out, I have a proposal. Having new... She smiles and says, I am single, but that's not what I meant.
Wait, Radiclus is asking
What?
what happened?
I didn't hear you.
Did you ask if someone was single?
No, she said I have a proposal, and Fallon said I'm taken.
Oh.
And And then I was going to nudge, and then she said she was single, and I was going to nudge Quiz. Like,
Spoken for as well.
At
You
any
are you? That's just who are you with, Quiz?
I've told you about Ella before.
Right. Quiz kind of goes a little bit cross-eyed.
Okay. Actually, Quiz. When you mention
Mhm.
Ella's name, give me insight. Just you.
Giving you insight. Trust me. How's it fun?
Ooh,
full blown insight.
Natural 20.
Okay.
Very close.
hey.
No, but on that roll, you actually happen to notice when you mention Ella's name, there's a bit of a reaction from Glimmer. Just sort of like he like perks up just a little bit, like he's looking at you a little bit more attentively.
Okay.
Okay, so Tirsa continues at this point. Right. So all I was about to say is that having newly arrived in the Ashal Megocracy, I'm not sure if you realize exactly how powerful they truly are. Their power is impressive, even in the small towns and wilderness, but their control here is nearly absolute. Only well, at least to my knowledge, only the subtle magic of the patron of these fine assholes allows them to operate as they do, and even then they've had to relocate multiple times.
It starts to. This is Kate chuckling too. She said fine asshole.
Yeah. Glimmer smiles as well. You can tell he's pretty pleased with the position he puts people in, having to say the name of this group. Anyways, what I mean to say is that if you try to take them head on, your demise is likely to be swift and painful, even with the considerable power you've managed to amass. But my companions here, well, there's only Glimmer now, but there'll be others back before too long, I imagine. Anyways, they've been hard at work, and they've laid the groundwork for something that might just be distracting enough to give you a puncher's chance in your next errand. They weren't going to be ready for some time yet, but, well, frankly, you all are a lot of extra firepower, and we might just be able to move more quickly. So if you're willing to potentially help, and potentially help what... She pauses. Well, I don't exactly know what your errand is at this point, but I imagine you're still seeking the vestiges at any rate, which you'll have to get at least a few from them. So, would you be willing to
Yeah,
hear
fair
Glimmer
enough.
out?
I'll do anything. Wait, not like that.
Sure, Kane.
No, he will actually.
No, that's not
Pretty
what I
much anything. Give him a little booze. Just kind of point and wave your hand.
No, guys, you're making it seem like I'm weird.
That's right. Forgot you don't need any help.
Thank you. I think.
Ooh, he had a thought, Fallon.
Oof,
Now that was an insult.
that was harsh.
Wow.
I think.
I'll walk that one back. It was too soon. Everyone needs to be drunk for that joke. I apologize about that one.
As you should.
He's still baby drunk, right? From his baby.
Yeah. And I had some ale to like keep the buzz going. So
Can we retcon that I introduced Dom as BK?
BK?
baby killer.
Oh, gosh.
All right. Woof.
I mean, Kane did mention that. So you
Yeah.
totally could have interjected that if you wanted to.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay.
Can I
Um,
see Dom's reaction when Fallon says? Actually, I'm drunk. Kane's not paying attention.
okay. He'd probably just grimace slightly. So Tirsa says, so I'm just going to take that as a yes. Glimmer, why don't you tell them about the plan? Right then. All right, so everybody, here's what we've got planned, if you're willing to help. So you know the Ashal don't play by the rules when it comes to distance limitations on their magic, right? And they've got that giant spy net thing. Are you familiar with that?
Very.
Yep.
He nods. All right, so we're planning to sabotage it. So he points to the map. And all right.
How would you do that, Glimmer? I whisper to Clean. Some people like it when you ask them questions about their ideas.
He looks at you and over-dramatically says, so glad you asked, Kane. So we don't know exactly how it works. What we do know is that
It's a vestige.
He pauses for a moment and says, right, with what Tirsa told us, we've been able to piece out that much, but that doesn't explain the... He pauses for a moment. The vestige explains how they were able to build it. It doesn't explain how they keep a permanent web of divination magic anchored over the entire world. What spell do you know that allows you to continuously monitor hundreds or even thousands of square miles? Or actually, no, I take that back. Because of the way the squares work, it's going to be like actually over 1 million square miles. Anyways, yeah. What divination spell do you know that works over such a wide range?
I don't know.
Well, we certain.
Clairvoyance?
The range is. He looks at Tirsa. A mile. It's like, right. I mean, look, they could cast clairvoyance that far, but they couldn't keep it anchored permanently in a way that would, say, notify them when things happen. There isn't a single spell for that.
Oh, I see what you mean. It's like some crafty magic.
He nods.
Probably
So,
god magic.
so what we think they did is, use the vestige in order to build it in the first place, but how they keep it permanently anchored and actively monitoring is, well, it's anchored at 3 locations, all in the major cities of the Megacracy. So, Balhir, Irzen, and Ashal. That much isn't exactly a well-kept secret. The watchtowers are the tallest buildings in the city. They're anchored deep in the ground and warded against every magic in the book. Believe me, we've talked about the possibilities for simply destroying them, and never mind the collateral damage, we couldn't find out a way to reliably do it.
What book?
So, what we actually have in mind is an infiltration. For years, we tried to find a way to put one of their higher-ups under a charm or something. It never worked. And of all things, one of our people literally just found a guy drunk one night and talked some secrets out of him. At any rate,
Yeah, people talk about the drunk.
He nods and his eyebrows start to furrow a little bit, Kane.
Kane is oblivious.
Anyway, here's the deal. You need 2 things in order to get into the towers. First is one of their pendants. It's a silver doodad, pair of crossed wands over an open eye. We've managed to acquire a couple of them, not many though, narrow distribution. The second thing that need is absolutely hysterical. You just need confidence. There's a door at the base of the tower. You can walk straight through it. It just doesn't look like a door. And if you believe it's a wall, or you're just not paying attention, you'll plunk right off of it. Illusion magic, he shrugs. Of course, it's not like getting in is the easiest part. We've learned a little bit about the layout of the lower floors from, well, he nods towards Tirsa, influencing a few of the Ashal who might be inclined to help us under the right situation. That should get us past the folks on guard duty. But I can't imagine what's between us and what's ever powering up those things at the top. I guess everything from a simple locked door to some nasty, powerful foes. At any rate, we need a week to get all of our people in position, and we need to do it subtle-like. But if you're all willing to help, from what Tirsa says, the lot of you are easily as good as half of our forces. So what we'd like to do is accelerate our timeline. It, frankly, would have been months until we were ready to pull this off, but we think that in a week's time, if you're willing to take the watchtower here, well, we can launch things right away. He finally shrugs. I don't exactly know the nature of your beef with the Ashal, though it hardly surprises me that you have one. And, well, actually, no, he does know, because Tirsa just said. So, he actually says, so at any rate, we think this operation will throw more chaos into their organization than, well, most things I can think to do. And Tirsa says, if you'll go, then I'm willing to help as well, personally. So, Limmer says, talk it out amongst yourselves if you need to, but
Guys, let's do it.
are you in?
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
I did not expect you guys to just go with that so fast, though.
It's been a while since we've done anything that sounded like it wasn't the end of the world.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, there was a whole stuff with manipulating those people's timelines so that they didn't die horrible deaths, but then they did die horrible deaths, and now I feel sad again.
I mean, my number one errand was taken care of, so
Yeah, that worked out great. Looks at Dom.
He nods. Alrighty then. Glad to hear it. Well, he gestures around and says, I have some messages to send out then, and like I said, it's going to be about a week until everything's in place. We're not exactly a hotel around here, but we're used to hosting people, and if you go down that hallway, you should find a number of rooms that you can use. Just take what you need.
Caden runs down, finds the biggest room.
And one more thing, he shouts after Kane.
He doesn't stop.
So Kane runs away. He looks at the rest of you and says, look, like I said, the Ashal have an iron grip on this city. At the point that we're ready to move, we'll pull out all the stops. But until then, we need to keep a low profile. I don't think it should be a problem if, in general, if you want to go out into the city, but be careful about using magic, be careful about, don't activate any magical items, be careful about what you talk about, and, well, frankly, be careful about standing out in general. And he sort of
Well,
gives a nod towards Colleen and says, might be a problem.
This is some intense music, Casey. Just throwing this out here.
Fair enough.
Like, this is super intense. And we're just like chatting, and I'm trying to be drunk, and it's just all like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, it varies between songs, but yeah, it's a little intense. What am I gonna do?
Colleen likes some magic zombies.
Yeah, you're right. That's super intense. Anyways, okay. So, yeah. So, okay. Anyway, so with that, like I said, go ahead and help yourselves. There are some other members of the organization who are out right now, who should be back within a few hours. Other than that, just let me know if you need anything. He looks around. Do you need anything?
Where will we be staying exactly?
He shrugs and says, here, like I said, there are rooms down the hall. Go ahead and just claim one.
All right. Well, that's simple enough.
We've only got simple arrangements around here. We are the forces of chaos, if you will. All right, so with that, I'll assume everyone is sort of, tending to things. The time right now is like, evening generally, maybe like 8 o'clock-ish. You all can go ahead and settle down wherever you like. The rooms themselves are small. They are not all the same size. It's not like it was made for this, but this hallway, whatever it is, just the rooms appear sort of repurposed. It's impossible to detect like initially what this building was used for, and based on what Glimmer said, you get the idea that they've moved a couple times, so they probably just find what they can and rearrange it to suit their needs. But yeah, I need to go to the bathroom, so suffice to say, go ahead and put some thought into basically how you'd want to use a week. Let me see here. And I will be right back.
Did Casey say fraught?
What? I'm sorry, I can't hear you over this music. Just a second. It's super intense. This is like some battle music. Alright, what'd you say, Brave?
Don't worry about it.
Okay. It's like if you played like some epic Lord of the Rings music while, like, I don't know, playing Tetris or something. So how was y'all's week? How's the corona going?
It's great. It's really maturing.
Sure.
I guess it's technically just a matter of time before we all catch it, right? It's just trying not to catch it all at once.
That is the goal, I believe, is to slow down the infection so that hospitals don't just go kaput.
Well, good luck to them.
Yeah. I keep seeing these sad posts about people whose like their packages are stolen from their front porch.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird because everyone's, at home right now. Or most people, a lot of people are.
Well, no, like the healthcare workers
Oh,
who like they expect stuff, but they don't get home for long periods of time, and they get like the package that was supposed to be delivered is gone.
never delivered to the hospital.
People are constant sources of shittiness.
But also coolness.
Please don't degrade horses like that.
What?
Horses didn't do nothing.
I think he said sources.
Horses.
Yeah, I said sources.
Oh, sorry. I heard horses.
I did hear horses too, but I figured out. I inferred.
Yeah, constant sources.
But they are also constant horses.
Well, I mean, horse shit is a phrase. So.
All right. Sorry to keep y'all waiting.
Your horse.
Lols, I guess.
You have to go
Be
back to
nice.
watch the VOD to figure out what that means.
Casey laughing at something he wasn't here for.
Yeah, no, it seemed like the appropriate reaction. It's what I did the entire time I was a foreign exchange student in Germany. Like, they were probably making fun of me in German, and I just didn't understand it, but I just laughed whenever they laughed.
Now I know more
They-
KC lore
They
than I
probably
did
talk
before.
about how you're laughing at whatever they say. Like,
This
why you
idiot
laugh
doesn't
at-
know what we're saying. Ha ha
He'll
ha.
laugh at anything. Ha, look.
He'll laugh at anything.
Pretty much. All right.
That Epstein didn't kill himself. Look, he's laughing now.
Die Spinne frisst die, how do you say? Käfer. There you go. There's some German.
So,
Spider
Deutschland.
is eating the beetle.
So as we did
What?
recently on the ship, we're gonna have another round of like, how are you guys using your downtime, basically. So this time you have an entire week. So I won't bother working out like every single day, but we'll just sort of go through any notable events over the course of the week. So generically, you're gonna see sort of a ragtag assortment of individuals coming in and out of this little hideout that you're in. Just people on different errands throughout the city. Again, largely setting up like little black market deals or doing like odd jobs, if you will, for people. You gather nothing of it is like super dark. Like you don't hear anything about assassinations, for instance. You do catch wind that like probably about the most objectionable thing that you might hear about is a little bit of like Robin Hoodish theft. The individuals themselves are pretty varied, but mostly you run into humans, elves, and dragonborn. And yeah, but like I said, everyone's sort of in and out. Like occasionally random people will like stay the night in the location, but it's rarely like full or anything. Glimmer, however, does sort of seem to be the proprietor. He's usually around, and Tirsa also is usually around, does duck out at various points, but seems to be sort of keeping a low profile. All right, so with that then, oh yeah, and in terms of like the stuff, there's just like random piles of stuff different places. It's like the whole place is kind of organized in a chaotic way of people just like are constantly taking things in and out for whatever little odd jobs they're doing. Lots of stuff just gets sort of strewn about. Like you occasionally see like minor magical items. Anything that's like a really valuable magical item, though, you gather there's sort of a stash. And I'll just leave it there for now. All right, so I'm gonna look left to right, and we'll go random order for folks this time. So we're gonna start with quiz.
Oh, okay. Work on the book more.
Okay.
Probably definitely the first day. And the goal is just to get up to this point.
I would say that with a whole week to work with, unless you do something really intense, yeah, you can absolutely get all the way up.
Giggity.
I considered that after I said it. Anyways.
Yeah, I just kind of accept Casey's gonna sometimes say things like that. I think the high notes. Where did I leave off? Oh, I stopped at where he died. He does power through that. I think that takes most of his first day. He stares at the blank page quite a bit and gives up and does literally anything else. And comes back. But as he gets past that and we get through everything else we've been through and the conversations with Tavrith, his feelings about Dom, one of the biggest moments is bringing the dead kid to Dom. And he spends a considerable amount of time. Essentially, if you were to read it, you would see he is growing frustrated with Colleen in that moment. And her seeming unyielding loyalty to Dom.
Can
Despite
you
what-
write it like you presented it to him, to the dead kid, to him, like Simba?
Yeah, with an earth elemental though.
It's a circle of life.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of his goal for the week, is just to catch up to where they are in real life.
Okay.
Then he's kind of gonna just sort of hang, and find moments where like it's just him and Glimmer.
Okay. All right.
Like specifically, like he's gonna look around, make sure it's just them.
Right. Okay. Let me see here. I kind of want the equivalent of like a socialized roll. What's that gonna be?
Charisma check, insight.
Roll to socialize.
Persuasion.
Social distancing.
Yeah, right. Just quiz, just roll charisma.
Okay. Sorry, I was multitasking.
Yep, no worries.
How dare you multitask?
Listen, man, you don't even know about the new set that's coming out in Magic. I can't help it. It's not an issue. Charisma saving throw or check?
Check.
Is charisma? Yes, I'm very dumb. There we go.
All right, cool. Yeah, you sort of like again, and you're just sort of like sussing out like the patterns of people sort of moving through this little hideout. One day you actually catch a moment where one of those rare times when Tirsa has actually left on some sort of errand. Glimmer is in the kitchen making lunch for everybody. If you want, you can, slip in and talk to him while he's working on that.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
All right. So, yep, you go in. He appears to be, he's currently just cooking some meat. He's got some stock and vegetables. Looks like he's making some kind of soup.
Smells good in here, Glimmer.
Oh, thank you. Just something basic, but hopefully it smells better before I'm done.
And basic sometimes is the best.
Right. And, we can't be too choosy. Sure, Fallon.
So the hut we were at just before we arrived here, and he'll gesture around himself. Fascinating place. Interesting bit of magic placed around.
Oh, you've got some sort of detect magic going, I guess?
Pretty much all the time.
Right. Fallon, you should have it. Let me know if you don't.
Thank you.
Yep. He says, right. So, suffice it to say, it shouldn't be too hard to figure out that's what helps keep the Ashal's eyes off of us.
Yeah. I figured as much. Casey, what was the Dragonborn's name?
Legedes.
Legedes told me an interesting factoid about the hut, though, that I was rather curious about, and he referred me to you to get more answers.
Oh, did he?
He said that the magic of the hut was created because of a relationship with an archfey.
Told you all that, did he?
I can be very charming.
Insight real quick.
In the same place it always is.
Okay. He, on the surface, he appears annoyed, but you can tell it's sort of, affected or theatrical. Like, he actually likes Legedes.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
And I was just curious, who is this archfey? I happen to have an interest in the Fae and the Feywild. Very interesting plane of existence. People group.
Wait, I'm sorry, I got distracted by something. What'd you ask?
Pretty much, he's asking who the Fae was that helped her
Oh.
because he's interested in the Fae and Feywild.
Okay, right. He thinks for a moment and then says, well, seeing how you mentioned it already, she introduced herself to me as Ella. He pauses and says, I imagine that's some sort of, chosen name. It doesn't exactly seem usual for a Fae, not that I'm an expert. But, he says, on one of my journeys outside the city, rather away from civilization, in fact, she approached me. She knew that I had some means within the city, and she said she was interested in building a power base against the Ashal. I was interested.
Really? Why would she have a thing against the Ashal?
He says, mind you, I don't know this history very well, but... Well, how much do you know about the Javit Empire?
It would be very little, correct?
Roll history. So, you know a decent amount, but your knowledge is all dated. So, the Javit Empire were basically ruling the world. Like, they hadn't, occupied the entire world, but they were very much the dominant power. So, think Roman Empire kind of thing. At the time that your people left Frynongru. And kind of view it as, kind of all the things that you would expect were true of them. There were good Javit and bad Javit. Overall, they were very much interested in wealth and power and all the classical things, and they did not necessarily treat everyone very well or allow people they were ruling a particularly large amount of freedom. You know that they were sort of legendary for pulling off seemingly miraculous military maneuvers.
Okay. A very powerful nation. A bit of control freaks, perhaps. That's about it.
Right. So he looks and says, suffice to say, they ruled until the Ashal came along and supplanted them. But do you know any of the stories of their military prowess?
No.
Well, suffice to say, they were legendary for moving huge armies vast distances in very short periods of time. Their opponents never quite knew what hit them. And, well, it turns out that they had some help from the Fae, I believe. They were, in exchange for some amount of service, they were given use of and free access through the paths of the Feywild. Ella told me that much. And to hear her tell it, she wasn't actually part of that old power base. But it seemed like she was interested in making use of some of those agreements. Without telling too much, Legedes is a bit of a black sheep now, no pun intended, but, well, he comes from a rather powerful lineage, and, well, he was one of the first people who got brought on board.
Interesting. So that's been your extent of relationship with Ella? simply helping your team?
More or less, she's pretty private, which I might expect, and frankly, there are enough stories of things going badly with people who push too hard asking the Fae for favors. We have had occasional use of paths to shuttle people and goods over to the Western continent. And he shrugs like, frankly, I imagine that mostly what she has in mind is just that the Ashal aren't very good overlords for someone looking to build out a base of influence.
You say she's trying to build out a base of influence?
I mean, I think so. She's certainly acting as if that's what she wants, and can't, seeing how we're not exactly paying tribute to her or anything, it's all I can think of. I mean, we certainly owe her favors.
And the Fae are quick to collect.
He nods. I've made sure I didn't get entangled in anything too limiting, but, like, I imagine she intends to leverage the relationship at some point.
Without a doubt. Well, that was an exciting bit of information. I thank you very much, Glimmer. And I look forward to lunch.
He shrugs, he nods and says, "Very well, he pauses for a moment and then says, I'm seriously hoping I didn't speak out of turn. It seems like you're kind of in on this to some extent, but as I reflect now, just, well, I guess for personal reasons, be careful with what I told you, if you would." And you can see he's, like, kind of sheepish as he's reflecting on, like, just how free he was with all of that.
Your secrets are safe with me.
Thanks.
So then, work on the book some more, but then I'm also going to look for, I almost said Tavrith, but that's not her name.
Tirsa?
Rogue Lady. Tirsa, yes.
Yep. By the way, I forgot to mention this, but two of the folks, like, of all the people coming in and out, two of them are actually as much in as they are out, and one of them, at least three of you would recognize. So Hanil Maliradel, the elf with whom Kane fought during the Rope Buddy episode, and who also went on a trip underground that first time with you. He's there as well. Quiz, he's a younger elf transmutation wizard.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, his story is basically just that he helped man the small boat that the lot of them took away from an Ongru.
Okay.
And then also there is, and I forget his last name, but I can look it up if I need it. But his first name is Asakren, which is spelled like this. He is an older dwarf. He ran a what's it called? An inn, thank you, in Dale's Harbor. But he also he's like the owner of, again, the small boat that they came here on. Judging by Tuli's tale, you know that he apparently owed Tirsa one for some reason, but you don't know exactly why. And yeah, so the two of them are around as well.
Okay.
But yeah, quiz. So yep, not too much longer before you find sort of a quiet moment with Tirsa. Say maybe there are some side rooms that largely get used as junk rooms. You see her sort of steal away into there for you're not quite sure what, but it doesn't seem like she's trying to stay away from everyone or anything.
Okay. Is there like a door on this room?
Let me yeah, I mean, it sort of hangs perpetually open, but yeah, there
Okay.
is a door.
I will kind of lightly tap on the door and say, "Might I come in?"
She looks over and says, "Sure, I was just bored and taking a look around."
Yes, we are rather confined for a week, it seems.
She shrugs. Get out a little bit, but it's not exactly wise to go out more than I need to. It is an interesting city.
Yes. Listen, I like to beat around the bush and get info without giving too much of myself, but I'm feeling a little direct today.
At this point, you hear a voice inside your mind as you hear her sort of hum just a little bit. And this is clearly Tirsa talking to you, and you hear, "This is a private conversation. Would this be a preferred means of communication?"
Would be an excellent way to communicate.
Very well. Continue. We can do this as long as you need. And as you talk, she's just sort of humming, and she looks at you. She glances around the room.
Yeah. I saw you talking to Ella. I scryed on her while we were in the Feywild for a short time, and caught wind of your plan. I asked Ella to let me in very directly, and she has told me there is a plan in motion to separate this group from Dawn. And also take down one of these towers.
Sorry, just a sec. Fallon, I see you. Okay. Sorry. And, yeah, so Tirsa responds, yes, I don't know exactly what she told you, but she did mention that she let you in. I was actually going to bring it up with you if you hadn't brought it up first.
There's some complications Ella might have told you, but I feel it's in my best interest, not the group's, to be part of Dawn. I have my own goals, as does everyone. One of them is mostly to see this group succeed fully with their tasks so that I can get what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, Dom seems to be in the way.
Okay. So, in other words, what I'm hearing is you're in.
Yes.
You son of a bitch.
All right, then. Well, I don't know how much you know, but here's basically what I have in mind. Let us switch to the hyperbolic stranger chamber.
Who boy?
Yeah, hyperbolic.
Hello.
Hello.
It's just us again, having fun.
So it is. All right. So she says, okay, so here's the deal. I'll be filling everyone else in on some of these details in just a moment, but while most of us are tending to the tower, Hanil and Asakrin, I believe you've met them, they'll just be readying the boat to leave. We expect a certain amount of chaos once we're done, and we figure it might be a good time to get out. So, what I had in mind was really quite simple. I've learned a bit about the magic on the tower, and I think perhaps as simply a convenience for the Ashal themselves. It's warded against teleportation within the tower. So you can't, for instance, teleport from the bottom floor to the top. But it's not warded against someone leaving the tower by teleportation. So I imagine once we've done our errand, we'll want to get out of there as soon as possible. I'll just suggest that I teleport everyone out. I do know that spell. And I'll just simply choose to leave Dom behind.
Simple.
There is a backup plan. I don't know exactly what it is, but our mutual acquaintance will take care of that if needed.
Has she told you about Colleen?
What exactly about Colleen? She hasn't told me much that I don't already know.
Leaving Dom behind will frustrate the others, Fallon and Kane, but they can both be swoon, I believe, and convinced that it was a good decision. Colleen is fascinated by Dom,
Okay.
almost to the point where, well, in my opinion, she's been rather inconsistent. I showed her the corpse of his dead child he sacrificed in order to gain whatever sort of power he has, and, well, it didn't sway her. She likes him. She thinks he's redeemable. She thinks there's any manifestation of human left in him. I don't trust him. And if we're going through this trouble to save the world from the evil or beings, entities that are trying to rip it to shreds, Dom's existence is nearly pointless.
Yes, I think you know more about him than I do, but it is troubling. Frankly, I'm trusting that, well, I'm trusting that our acquaintance has done the math correctly in leaving him behind here. We will, of course, be keeping the vestiges away from him that way.
How fast do you think they'll respond to us bringing their tower?
Well, some kind of response will be mounted almost immediately. There are a number of the Ashal around the city. The most powerful ones, to my knowledge, are not here, save a few lieutenants. So I don't doubt our ability to make it out. But if we stayed, well, then it's just a matter of where they decide to bring the hammer down first.
Interesting. What do you think his chances of survival are?
Based on the way she seems to talk about him, pretty good. But, well, I think the play is that he'll gain some power, enough to be an annoyance, a focus of great attention, and then it's just a matter of which viper eats the other.
Interesting. It's an interesting long-term play. And I like it. If I have time for one more question,
Sure, I'm not doing anything.
what's your connection to Ella?
She has some connection to this group. She was told that I was here and that I was a person of interest. And after we started talking, she seemed more interested. Frankly, I haven't promised her, well, much that didn't seem beneficial to me as well. Nor have I gotten particularly much out of her. Well, there's not much point in me denying that I'm in kind of a rough position at the moment, but I've been in rough positions before and managed to come out on top.
When she talked to you about the group,
Hmm.
the four of us, and me more specifically, what did she say?
She said, well, first of all, things that I already knew, namely that, well, you all are a bit eccentric and sometimes make questionable decisions, but she looks at you. Not really saying much about you here. Frankly, I'm more familiar with your companions. But somehow you have a way of accomplishing things that few others have. About you in particular, she said that she had some previous relationship with you, that you were a person she trusted, but didn't say much more.
He sort of strokes his beard and just kind of lets that sink in for a minute. Very well. You have my complete aid in separating us from Dom. I don't trust him at all. Anyone who would kill their own child and lover to gain power, to change a situation in that way, isn't someone, in my opinion, worth walking the other.
Clean is someone who, well, frankly, have you ever seen a more happy-go-lucky necromancer in your entire life?
Can't say I've known many necromancers, so
Well,
perhaps I'm still on the beginning side of the learning curve.
in fairness, I've not known many myself, but she's unique. And
That I do know.
if she's seen some potential in Dom, but for all I know, she could be correct. That doesn't change the short-term play.
That's true. Well, I know few things. But I do know that this is going to make one hell of a story when we're done. And I'm very excited.
Excellent. Just, if you have any care for the actors in that story, just make sure that once we get out of the tower, nobody tries to go back in.
Oh,
As
I will
best
do
as you
my
can.
best. I will do my best.
She nods. Just
It's
very,
been-
very subtly. I understand.
Well, it's been lovely to spend time with you, but I have a book I'm working on, and it's coming along quite nicely, and I'd like to get back to it.
Sounds good.
Pleasure.
All right. And jumping back.
The tentacle people's power, or
No, it was like when I had the ghost bats and stuff, and the ghost meteor shit pellet thing slug.
Remember that slug that climbed up
Yeah, that one.
I thought that was from Cthulhu.
No, that was my other power.
there? Are you guys back now?
We are back.
Have
Did
you
y'all
finished
finish talking about Magic the Gathering finally?
That
No,
was
we would still be
insane.
gone if that was happening.
That was a guilty laugh, Casey.
That was a great synchronized speech. I saw it happening and I just kept talking. So I was like, he's saying the same thing. It was impromptu, but we spoke. Just didn't say the last word.
All right.
Casey, I could just go back and watch the VOD for this and see what you guys said,
Yeah,
Sure.
but I'm not gonna.
Actually, I've been failing to post. I've not been posting them recently for different reasons.
How dare you?
That was a hot bit of role play.
How are
It
my
was
children going to remember me?
It was
I'll get them to you if you want them.
I would love if your kids, like in 30 years,
You're
go
going to
back
drive
and
them
watch
across
your
state
old.
lines for me. Too hot to.
All right.
Boy.
In like 30 years, I'm gonna go back and watch this. Be like, oh, Dad, just what are these jokes?
By the way, quiz.
Mhm.
As you leave the room and are making your way back, you see Glimmer sitting at the table, puzzling over a few random scraps of parchment.
Okay.
and as you're walking past, he calls to you. Quiz, actually, can you come take a look at this? I'm curious for your take on it.
Yes, absolutely. What can I help you with?
He says a few of the assholes found these posted around the city. They seem related somehow, and you look, and indeed, like, the pieces of parchment are written out in the same hand, and they're even numbered. Says, I was wondering if you could make anything of them. So here's the first one. And here's the second one. So the first one says, 1 of 4. Do not trust those like him who speak one of these. And then number 4, 4 of 4, and greater than a mound. Does any of this mean anything to you?
Is there anything I could roll?
Investigation, I guess.
Okay.
No, you can't make anything of that. I mean, like what? LOL what?
Do not trust those like him who speak one of these. And so we just have 1 and 4.
Yes, you just have 1 and 4.
Do you think you could go find the middle 2? That seems to be where the important bit is.
He says, I've asked the guys to keep a lookout. All right, well, I was just curious if it meant anything to you, because I obviously had no clue.
KC, I have a question real quick.
Yep.
The scrying spell.
Mm-hmm.
If I have parchment and handwriting of someone, can I try and scry on them?
I don't think so, but let me check.
I didn't know if that was a stretch or not.
So you have to choose the creature, so that means you have to know who you're trying to scry on.
Okay.
You could, if you knew a spell like Legend Lore, I don't know that this thing is of legendary importance, but like that would be the kind of thing maybe. Like if you could,
Okay.
but yeah.
Yeah. Cast detect magic. Is anything magical about this?
Nope.
Okay.
Normal parchment and ink.
I'm just double checking. I don't have any.
Yep.
Can cast mage armor and escape. No. Well, please do keep me informed if you find anything.
Indeed I will.
Oh, good luck. Rather exciting little mystery.
Absolutely. Okay, so you're going back to what? You said you're just going back to work on your book again?
Yeah, just wherever.
Okay. Let me see here. Yeah, I'll go ahead and feed you one more for now. A little bit later in the week, you meet Glimmer again, and he tells you that this one was found as well.
So, do not trust those like him who speak one of these, or find yourself unlucky. Blank and greater than a mound.
That is correct.
And greater than a mound.
That's what you've got.
Wise word.
I was trying to watch the other 3. I can't see Brave. I'm like, are any of these fuckers laughing? Is this one of their jokes?
So I'll let you puzzle over that. In the
Okay.
meantime, anything else in particular before I move to the next person?
Here we go. That should fix that.
It did.
Brave
Well, I could see
girl.
Casey anyway, but I could...
Quiz, anything in particular you need to go over before I move to the next person?
Nope.
All right,
Move along.
cool. So we're going to move to Fallon next.
Uh-oh.
So,
Okay.
so Fallon, how are you using your week?
Okay, hold on. I've been taking notes on my notepad for this.
All right.
Do I have what I need to like grow the purple flowers myself?
To grow them?
Yes.
Interesting.
A small pot.
Well, I mean,
I would like one marijuana.
All right, so you know that they can grow in low light conditions. So like that should be fine. The problem is, as with any plant, you need some sort of soil to put it in, like some kind of nutrients for
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. I just mean like if I had those means, could I grow based on what I have in my inventory?
Well, I mean, maybe not just your inventory, but like, frankly, it would be really easy to just scrounge up stuff from this place that you guys are currently in.
Yeah, like if I needed to go forage for it, I could find some stuff and
Yeah,
grow it if I
mostly
had
you
to.
would just need to go outside and get like some dirt.
Well, I would like to like if I find the resources through foraging and then find somebody who's gardening or growing a crop and pay them to start growing some.
All right, so let me switch to my my map of the city here. I mean, my image of the city here real quick. So welcome to Ball here.
Oh, okay. I was not expecting this kind of a city.
So you are currently in a heavily urban environment. Now, mind you, you can, if you leave, like, it's not like there isn't dirt anywhere in the city. But
Okay,
you
okay.
don't exactly have a garden where you're at.
Okay, fine. Next thing. Next thing.
I
Okay,
mean,
that was
again, for what it's worth, if you
Excellent.
want to pursue this, all you need to do is go like gather some dirt, gather some pots, tend to it. Maybe if you want to ask someone to tend to it, you
No,
can do
it's
that.
fine. It's fine.
Okay.
I thought I could like pay a farmer to do it.
Oh yeah, no.
Okay, so delete those 3 items. Okay, next. Can I go to some store somewhere who makes jelly and have them make me a gnome salts jelly?
Interesting. Okay, so that
Seems like
will
a
require going out to explore. You can certainly do that. Are you making any particular preparations before you head out?
Such, I mean,
Well, I mean, you were asked to keep a low profile. I don't know, so would you leave your stuff behind, especially like your magical items? Would you take any
boy.
steps to disguise yourself? Would you do anything like that?
So hold on. I have a week and I'm trapped in a place unless I want to go. I want to leave all my Alkadir items and everything else behind.
I mean, it might be recommended considering, again, basically what Glimmer told you is the Ashal, have eyes on the entire world, but you are, in the heart of their power. All of that is going to be super amped up where you're
Okay,
at.
well then I ask my pal Glimmer to go find me the finest jelly maker and make an appointment for them to come visit, so I can give them some ingredients to make me a fancy jelly, and then they can deliver it by the end of the week.
And he would tell you
finest jelly maker in the
that
land.
this is a secret hideout, so they don't invite random outside people to come visit.
Okay, fine. I will give Glimmer the ingredients and ask him to go.
Get me my damn jelly.
I'll pay him some money.
He looks at it. He shrugs. 10 gold for the errand?
Sure.
Get me my jelly.
All right, you pay Glimmer 10 gold for the errand. Let us see how good of a jelly maker Glimmer finds. Let me see
Gold
here.
jelly maker quality.
I had 11 silver. I could have paid him.
So this is a scrounging roll. I would say that he's pretty good at scrounging. Okay. All right, yeah. He finds a pretty solid maker of, candies, preserves, edible arrangements, that sort of thing. So what are the specifications for this? Just make a jelly out of these flowers?
No. Like I want to add some a little bit of the flour and a little bit of gnome salt to a jelly. It can have a fruit flavor,
Okay.
but just want to enhance it a bit.
Okay. All right. Okay. How much of each are you giving to him? Like how many ingredients?
I mean, it's a whole jar of jelly. I would do 2 flours and 2 doses of gnome salt.
All right.
If I can find that stuff on my.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so he takes it out. He comes back later that day and tells you that he found someone. He said, uh, it was a bit of an odd request. And he's actually, let me role play this. He's like, all right, Fallon, so I found somebody who could potentially do what you're asking. He did give me kind of a strange look. He doesn't get custom jam requests very often. And he did need a bit of convincing to do it. So, another 10 gold, perhaps.
So, first, can I ask a question? I have 1.25 pounds of purple flowers.
Mm-hmm.
Take 2 away. What does that come to?
I mean, the flowers themselves are pretty light. 1.25 pounds is quite a bit. I mean, I would say like 0.04.
Okay. Um. Uh. Good balance is fine. Well, that's a lot of 10 gold, Jesus.
Hey,
Uh,
custom shit is expensive.
Fine.
I mean,
Balance
it's
says it better
distracting
be.
him from more normal business
It better
activities.
be really delicious.
He said he'd make something out of it. So let me see. So then,
When Fallon says it better be delicious, he gives wild eyes.
Glimmer looks at you, briefly concerned looking, but then finally just nods. The next day, he comes back, and you get actually a very tidy, just like, small jam jar size, but of this deep purple jelly. It's wrapped in it's like a green bow with a white stripe down the middle of it. And it says, oh, what does it say? It says Paramore's Preserves on the front of it, and it has a little image of like a puppy mixing a bowl of something.
That's so cute.
Is that a band?
Yeah, it is. It's what came to
How
mind.
much does it weigh?
Let me see. It's not going to be that much. Probably 0.2.
0.2 pounds. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Awesome. Item 1 down.
All right.
I want to also ask, since I can't leave, Glimmer, if there are any libraries where he could look for a book on the vestiges or Dom.
Well, I mean, for the record, you can leave if you want to.
I don't think I want to.
Okay. He says, that there are, but, well, the good stuff is normally restricted. How important is it?
I mean, Fallon says, well, I mean, as soon as we take care of the current threat, Dom's gonna destroy the world, so I don't know. I guess fairly important.
He nods and says, well, if you... He looks at he sighs and just says, my concern is that if we attempt an infiltration, again, into anything that's likely to be useful, that could endanger the mission. If you want to try yourself, I can point you in the right direction, but I wouldn't advise it.
I just don't feel like I'm going to be guaranteed that my inventory will be untouched if I leave it behind, so I don't want to do that. Second, okay, moving on. Fallon asks if he knows anything about snake people.
Actually, let me see. He says,
Do you wanna?
"Do you mean you want tea?"
Yeah. Are there any around?
Well, I guess you never quite know if they're around. Kind of their whole thing is, well, being oddly good at blending in, all things considered.
Fallon chuckles and said, "Yeah, you could be one, or even me."
He nods.
Right.
Right. That being said, to my knowledge, the largest communities of them are deep in the Aspash jungle, which, for a reminder, is this area down here.
The jungle that looks like snakes.
Yes, in fact.
Yep.
Good old snake jungle.
Gonna have to add that to the trip, I guess. Okay. And then Fallon wants to spend the rest of his time looking at his inventory.
Okay.
He has some fun stuff in there that he's trying to remember what they do. KC.
Okay.
For example, prototype time potion.
Yeah, so that is
What?
remember those potions that you guys were using to jump back and forth in time when you were in the vault? So you guys hung out with Imra for a night, and he gave you that. It was the prototype version of the potions that you guys were using. So who knows what it'll do?
That's right. I forgot I got that from him. Okay. I also have one of those magic mushrooms, by the way, still. Remember those mushrooms where we had to roll a d6 to figure out if we were going to die?
Yes, I do remember that.
I have one of those. I just wanted you to remember.
Okay. Well, if I need to reference exactly how it works, I can do that.
So I have a scroll of lore that I got from Alistar, and a sketch of the Scepter of Command, a sketch of the symbols at the end of the diorama.
Okay, I think that was when you found that temple to Carulo.
Okay.
You should get replicas made.
And then I have something in my inventory called a scroll of knowledges.
Okay, dear God, we had a prolonged conversation about this a while
We did?
back.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, it was after a session,
Okay.
and like neither of us could remember for
Okay.
the life of us what it was.
All right, then I'm probably going to delete it because I'm tired of looking at it. Then I have a sending stone, and my question was, so the reason I asked you to let me get into Alistar's thing was to like make, because I got a lot of this stuff from him,
Yeah.
like the silk robe and all those sketches and all that. The sending stone, was it the one that he had that said it was like connected to Jana or Anna or whatever, or is it one of the ones we took off of the prisoners at some point?
So I think all of the prisoner ones are with the same person. It might be Kane. Yeah, it's Kane.
Okay.
And then you also had a pair of them just within your group. So somebody else should have. I think it might be Colleen. Oh, it's you too. You have 4.
I get all the...
You have 5. You have 5 sending stones, Kane. Because you have 1 to Tuli. You have 1 to Tuli, 1 within your group, and 3 to various Ashal.
Yeah, I know that Alistar had one that was to Lana, but
right. I think that he kept that one with him.
That would make sense.
Yeah, I have 5 sending stones.
Okay, so
Jesus
Fallon,
Christ.
the one that you have goes to Kane.
All right, good to know. Okay.
I have 2 sets of sending stones, but I don't think I think 1 goes to Kane also.
Oh, wait a minute. You have 2?
Yeah.
Oh,
What the fuck, guys?
well, maybe yours goes to Colleen. I mean,
Then who does
Fallon.
mine go to?
So many sending stones.
KC.
Oh, all right. With that many sending stones in your group, somebody probably, actually, it probably is you, Fallon. I'm guessing that Colleen, you have one that goes to Kane. You
Yeah,
also
I
have
think so.
another one that, for the life of me, I don't remember where that one goes.
It doesn't go anywhere. I have the both sets because I gave one to Alistar briefly, who gave it back, and I've never given it out because I can link with people. I just forget.
Okay. So,
Oh,
so then
you have the
Fallon,
pair.
I'm guessing that yours does indeed go to Lana Redthorn.
Okay, I've had it for a while.
Wait, what does my other one go to then?
Colleen.
Lana!
All
Right,
right.
right, because Colleen has like one unmatched one and then a pair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have key 108. Should I keep that at all? I know
No,
they
that was
sell the
just
lock.
that was strictly used for a dungeon. It's worthless now.
Time gem. Do we need these time gems anymore?
It is still potentially relevant.
Glow crystal.
I mean, it glows if you're in a dark place. It lets you see
Hey,
just
man.
a little bit.
This is some very anti-RPG vibes. You're supposed to hoard everything you find.
Well, you should see all these potions I have. Let me read them off to you.
Oh god, no.
Okay, I consider the magic mushroom. That's potion, by the way. Prototype time gem or potion. Prototype time potion. Potion of growth. Potion of diminution. Supreme potion of healing. Potion of supreme healing. Potion of greater healing. Standard healing potion. Potion of haste. True sight potion. True seeing potion. That's it.
Why do you have more
Right.
healing potions?
Don't worry
Because
about
he's
it.
the healer, obviously.
Hey, who got Alistair's ring of light or light ring?
He kept that.
Really?
Hmm.
I believe in the game. I'm gonna keep all my shit.
Well,
Jeez.
but like, given the lore of the game, he would have kept a lot of his shit. Just he would have. It would still be useful to him.
Okay. Let me see.
His character
Oh.
still lived.
I'm gonna. The last thing I'll try to do is meditate and see if I can tap into any snake powers.
Okay, so really quickly before you do that, so I'll imagine this is happening later in the week. Glimmer comes back to you and says, Fallon, actually, I had something to ask you if you don't mind.
Sure.
He says, well, a few of my folks have found some strange bits of parchment around the city. I asked Quizmiligus about a few of them, and he didn't know what to make of them, but I think we found the last one. So I wanted to know if you could make anything of them, because despite having all of them, for the life of me, I still can't. So let me go ahead and enter all 4 of these. So it says, do not trust those like him who speak one of these, or find yourself unlucky. Your foe's bearing, coming from somewhere definitely not low, and greater than a mound.
Fallon says, "I've never seen these before in my life. What is it?"
I'm not sure. It was almost like they were strewn in our path, though. All right, well, I will go. I guess I'll try quiz one more time. And he leaves. So, I mean, quiz, for what it's worth, he's gonna. I guess let's just go ahead and do it now. Quiz, he finds and says, we found the last of those strange pieces of parchment. They were all quite close to this building, in fact. But, well, here they are. They mean anything to you?
Quiz?
Quiz Mulligan.
I muted because I was typing. I'm sorry. Round 2. Try it again. Take
Did
2.
you say quiz mulligan?
Yeah.
Because he gets a mulligan.
Yep. Off the top of my head by myself, I'm not sure. However, the third one is interesting.
Oh,
Coming from somewhere definitely not low and greater than amount. What chances do you think there are that anyone knows we're from an on-group?
he thinks for a moment and says, well, Tirsa and Tuli would obviously know. Myself and Legedes are in on it, but we've been... Well, frankly, there's not much reason to tell other people.
Right. It's just interesting. What's someplace definitely not low and greater than amount?
He shrugs and says, well, I have a feeling this one's going to be gnawing at the back of my mind and for quite some time. But, well, at any rate, there it is. Let me know if you make anything of it.
Will do. It is exciting.
All right, and with that, Fallon, let's go back to you. So sure, you're thinking snake thoughts. All right, just give me a wisdom check.
Okay. God damn. Is it backwards day?
You at
Aren't sitting with
first you feel you know, like a little weird about it. You're like sort of questioning what exactly am I doing here, and that's when you realize that you haven't taken gnome salts in a while. You're kind of surprised that it hasn't occurred to you to do that. So, and I'm just going to roll the normal d20 straight into this. So you go ahead and light some up. And,
Sorry, go ahead.
And, you fall into the usual relaxation and, ecstasy of that experience. You feel at peace. All of the pressures and irritations of your daily life sort of slip away. And you feel yourself just sort of, I don't know, slithering through the interluminal ether. And that's when you realize that you're not just like trying to tap into, latent power or anything like that. Actually, you are a snake. You hadn't realized it before, but like you look human, but that part of you is like way stronger than you ever realized. And you kind of come out of your trip, but not like all the way. Yeah, you honestly believe that you're a snake, at least for a little while, until this
Is this
wears
because
off.
I rolled a critical failure?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it'll wear off by the next day, but for this for this particular day of your...
Oh no, don't worry. This is gonna be great. I want to. Then I bump into. I want to bump into Colleen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to just be like kind of a little out of sort, but not really like out crazy. But she'd be like, everyone's mean to you because of the tentacles, but me. Oh god, they don't even see it. I'm the
Stop
monster.
being mean to me.
I've seen the way they look at you.
I didn't think that. Now I don't know what to think.
How Kane feels.
Don't you have, but you have no reason to be upset. You're still mostly human or elf. I mean, the name. It's the damn snake.
You're not a snake, Fallon. You're Fallon.
I'm a snake in human skin, Colleen.
I don't think you're a snake. Clearly, you're human. Look at yourself.
Under the skin, Colleen. All snake.
Under the skin, I don't think you could anatomically be a snake. What would
You were
control your
there.
arms?
What was that city called?
Oh, give me a moment.
I want to say like Skith or
Oh,
something. but-
Vixeth.
Vixith. You were there in Vixith. You know what it was like.
Well, I don't think you got your mom's genes.
He didn't wear jeans. Snake.
What are genes?
I mean, if you had tentacles like these, they could certainly manipulate your arms, but I think you just have arms.
I think I have snakes pretending to be arms.
Would you like me to cut you open? We can look if you want.
Fallon says, looks at Colleen in horror. I don't want to see the snakes, Colleen. I already know. I don't
How
want
can
to
you know
further
it?
disgust myself. Say yes. KC truly comes out.
I was just like, do it.
Fallon storms away. Don't look at me. I'm a snake monster.
You're not a monster, Fallon. You're just a person.
Wiggling tentacles.
Oh my
Pitch
gosh.
black eyes.
Sorry,
Too
I
much.
just wanted
No, that's
That was great.
perfect. That's perfect. All right. Anything else to cap it off?
No, that's it.
Okay, cool. Looking at the time, let's come back with Colleen and Kane next time.
Oh, thank you.
So we are going to go ahead and end it there with our escapades while staying at home in the hideout of the assholes. And yeah. Thanks everybody.